Hi, I'm Shivam,
Hi, I'm Izzy,
and this is PhoenixChat.
where one of us can read.
Which one?
You
You find
find
out.
out.
Hi, and welcome back to PhoenixChat. This is going to be part 2 of the episode that came out a little bit earlier last week, or this week. And we're going to be talking just a little bit more about the hows and whys of what we did in that episode. So I highly recommend you check out part 1 before you check out this episode, as it'll give you all the necessary context for all the things we're talking about. But the main gist, I think, of this episode that we're going to be talking about today is creating interesting decision points for the party to kind of follow here. So, the first thing I want to talk about is creating the big brain villain. So, I really wanted to have a villain that you guys would at least look at and see um, just a little bit of an inkling at least of I understand why they're doing it, but like this is extreme and crazy. So I think the main question I was trying to ask here is what happens when someone with the same goal as the party just goes to the absolute extremes for the means?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess like how did you like as a player and as Juliet like feel about this whole like brain villain?
So, I guess this brain villain and Romeo, this had a much deeper connection with Juliet specifically versus everybody else in the party, only because of Cass and what his relation to Cass was, and the fact that he fucking took over her brain and she saw how much of an absolute asshole this man was to not only his wife but like his children. Like, what the fuck? That's so messed up. So I guess for her, like this is so personal for Kat to like I'm tripping over my words because I'm getting angry for that. But this is personal for Cass, so this is personal for her because Cass is basically like her fucking father to her, and like she's here to defend her family. Like Juliet has some she's impulsive, yes, but she actually has some very strong morals about things, and family is one of them. Like actual like people she cares about, like she will never turn her back on them. So when this shit happened, she was like, I'm killing him. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. This man will die. In this moment in time, she didn't really know much about Romeo other than like that sliver of exchange. Like he flipped her off, but like she's like, that's me, I understand that is what I would do. Okay, so I'm not, she doesn't really know what to feel about him per se, but that's where she's at with this villain mindfuckery, I guess.
Yes. Um, and a quick tangent on the mindfuckery thing. So the specific stat block I of course used for the brain was an elder brain, and I absolutely love elder brains for a specific reason, and that's in the stat block they actually have an ability to alter some of the player's memories. Um, which is really fun to just like kind of tell your players, and you kind of bring them off into a side room and say, hey, this key memory that's important to you has just suddenly been warped in this way, and your character, you should play your character as if like this memory had happened to them instead. And it's a really fun plot hook, I think, that becomes like an interesting role-playing experience,
Yeah.
because you can kind of do like this fun thing of like, yeah, so for example with like Juliet and like the water thing there, the swimming thing there, people didn't really ask you about it because it was just like, you know,
Convenient.
yeah, it was just way too convenient. um but this is a current thing that like Juliet now like has to deal with, is that like all those memories she had like of her father that she truly believed was real, she now feels that like she might have to let go of them. um so I guess on top of that too, like when I told you about that, I also gave you the decision of like, if you wanted to for future episodes, there is a way you can reverse this, but you are allowed to just keep this as is. If you just want to keep your memories to be as is until like after the boat episode,
Yeah.
You could totally do that. And you actually just straight up said like, no, Juliet wouldn't do that in our feed. If you want to explain.
Yeah, so if Juliet knew outside of this, like she fully believed like somebody fucked with my memories, and yeah, she like anybody could have been like, oh, this is great, now I can like get over this fear and we're good, like I can go on the boat and it's fine, like I don't have to worry about it. Juliet is not like that. She wants to feel like she has earned her right to be over water. So for her to have her memories just, it's like an easy way out. Like, oh yeah, you're good now. And she's like, that's not how this fucking shit works. That's not okay. You can't just go in my mind, mess around with that shit, and then I'm okay. That's not it. So basically what I was like, if she had the choice to keep this or not, she would not. Absolutely not. Because she herself wants to get over it. She has to mentally and physically get over her own obstacles. That's the only way that she's going to be able to grow. That's the only way she's going to be able to improve herself. Like, from Izzy's standpoint and Juliet's standpoint, even though we're kind of one and the same, but, it's fine.
Yes. Oh, man. And on to my next point. So, cloning Juliet. So, I was just kind of like thinking of like what's some other interesting things I could kind of do here near like the end of like the fight to have some like more cool reveals and stuff like that. And I was just kind of playing around with the ideas of like, oh, it's like weird science stuff's happening. Like I think the first idea I was batting around is like there's a bunch of like failed clones and stuff like that you have to defeat of like Legion or something like that. Or there's like some other like weird like sciencey things like a bunch of like chimeras that you guys have to defeat, but they're all like weird horrible monsters, like half like bug creatures or something like that. And so like eventually I came on the idea of like, wait, what if I just clone the party members and stuff like that, like trying to figure out like which one. And then I finally saw like Izzy had posted like that gender bend art of Juliet. God. And I'm like, I know exactly what I'm doing.
I will never draw again.
Yeah, and I will just straight up say it, like, at this point in the campaign, I had a vague idea for, like, the villain. It was just going to be, like, the brain villain was going to take his mind and put it into Romeo. And, because I just liked the brain villain, and, like, I thought, like, oh, they should definitely reoccur at some point. And so I just, like, my idea was just, like, the brain villain's just gonna come back at some point and be a pain in the party's ass in some other, like, place. And that was the only thing I had thought of, but when I like fully like finished that idea, that it's just going to be a plot hook for like future episodes, and I think that's really like good for like a DM to just kind of have. It's just like just a tiny little thing where you just say like X NPC is like vanished or something like that, like X person from like the villain base is just like up and like left, because now later on in the future. You can just like mention that NPC and stuff like that, and like if you do like these kinds of things correctly, then the party is just going to immediately have like a personal stake to try and take down that villain, because you managed to get away one time, but now like we know to like keep our eyes on you and stuff like that, or like be like extra careful. And it's also a fun way too to like tie in like villains that are very specific to the party, because you could totally have a fun thing like the party just takes down like a random group of like bandits, for example, and like you say, okay, one of the bandits goes running off into the night, and then 10 sessions later that bandit has now like become like some powerful like gang leader or something like that, and now he's hiring hits on the party because like to try and like get revenge for like them taking out their old gang. There's a lot of fun things you can do to really make it just extremely personal.
Yeah.
But now getting into probably the biggest thing about this episode, the whole decision with Juliet, because I think this session was just tying into what was going to be like, I honestly think one of the biggest like themes of Phoenix Heart, just in general, was like boiling down to like this one decision that Juliet was going to have to make.
Oh fuck, it was that big? Holy shit.
Yeah, no, I mean like the future of like the campaign in general was just going to be fully dependent on it. But go ahead before I get into that.
Oh god, okay. God, that's spooky. So basically, Juliet is chaotic neutral. I put her in that because she is not afraid to defend innocent people, but she's also not afraid to straight up kill someone. Like, I guess it just depends on the situation. That's a lot, just situational shit happens. So quick decisions like that make her either really bad or really good. So thus her impulsiveness, really bad, really good, you know? So for this, it was really hard. I literally had to stew on this for a week for this decision because I was like, I don't know which route to go. And I'm trying to like put myself in Juliet's shoes, like, okay, my pretty much aunt is Legion, and there is a sliver of a chance that I myself can get her out. Even though I have absolutely no fucking idea how, other than the purification process of a soul, which I had Hops help me, so I don't even know if I can do it myself, so to say. I still have a chance that I could do it. But by doing so, I will be putting the rest of the party in danger because I know it's going to take me a longer amount of time, rather than just slamming her in a soul cage. But if I were to do that, not only would it reflect badly, like, Legion would not help us, I would not be able to save Jolene, which is Cass's sister. That would be it. Like, I would just have her soul, and who's to say it can't get out? Like, there's so many what ifs with that too. But it would be faster, it would be easier, and the party would be safe. So there's so many like pros and cons between the two choices, and I was like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm going to try the purification process. And if it does not work, I am not going to hesitate to slam her ass into the soul cage. Because I am not having anybody die. Because I wanted to try and save Jolene. People are alive right now. Jolene is long dead. Like, I'm sorry, but Jolene's dead. From what everyone knows. From what I know. So, if I can't save Jolene, I'm sorry. But my party's lives, my life, and Cass's life is more important to me than some dead person I don't know personally. Like, yeah, I know this
because like it was just putting her soul like to rest.
Yeah, yeah.
What you believe? You're just gonna put her to rest, and that'll be like the end of it for Cass to finally be able to also just suffering.
Yeah. So that I feel like at this point that like shit got so real for her, like. She watched Hops get really hurt, like she was knocked out for the first time. Juliet's died and come back. Her whole party has pretty much died and come back. Time travel and shit. They have faced off against so many powerful things now. At this point, Juliet's like, I need to grow. I need to become better. For myself, for my friends, for Cass. I need to be somebody who people can rely on more. I need to be more kind to people. I need to be more understanding. I need to listen to people more. I need to stop being so impulsive and shitty to people. Even though, like, to be honest, Juliet wasn't that bad. She did things for reasons. More or less does she think about these things? No, but she's working on it. She's not a bad person. She wants the best for people that she cares about, but in the manner of her doing things isn't the best way. Now she wants to redeem that, like, okay, I have to step back and actually think about things I do. I can't just fucking rush into things anymore.
Yeah, no. And I'm glad, by the way, you really, like, were, like, thinking about this, too, because, like, I straight up and down, like, there was good outcomes and bad outcomes and in the middle outcomes, like, for all of this, and, just straight up, Juliet could have died if you kept doing like the purification process and you just kept doing it like over and over and over again. There was a point where I could have like asked you like, hey, you can do this, but it might mean you like die at this point. You decide to try and like keep going forward with it. And of course, like there's consequences too. Like if you don't decide to do that, when being just like. Well, yeah, of course, like, the absolute safest route is just to soul cage, destroy that, and be done with it. But of course, then Cass is just going to, you know, always just be, like, suffering, just knowing that little sister. And, you know, so it's this interesting dichotomy of just, like, that trade-off there. And I really liked it, too, because, like, realistically, if you had cared like less about this campaign and didn't really care about like, the roleplay aspect of it, you could have just said like, oh, just soul cage and be done with it. But like, to you, the NPC suffering was the same
Yeah.
level of like, I could lose my character.
Yeah. See, okay. Fucking, I get so attached so easy. So when Juliet died, I actually fucking cried. I was so upset. Like, I put so much time and effort, and I want to see her grow. I did so much artwork, and she's gone. I was so pissed. I was crying. So when I get, like, I hyperfixate on shit a lot, and especially this campaign. We've done this for, like, we're coming up to a year anniversary now. Holy shit. So this is a whole year of our lives to this fucking game. So I'm attached.
Yes.
Like, and what's funny is Shivam and I always joke, like, outside of, like, the recordings and outside of, like, the game and everything, that I hate Faith. Like, all the time.
Oh, man. But yeah, I'm glad that you two get attached, though, because, like, it's what's part of made this like the character and the campaign so great, and especially too because you've been like so like attached to it. Like, we've had like a really great Juliet arc here. So if you want to explain a little bit too, like I think this is also the beginning of like Juliet going from just like she does what she needs to do, but she's only just like doing things because she was kind of like ordered around to do so, or doing things to the big concept of like, well, it's what's right sort of deal. And now she's kind of being pushed towards a direction where, like, she needs to be the leader, and especially, too, because, like, she's the only one who's going to be able to make that decision when it comes down to it of, like, do I save Legion or not?
So, this was basically the blossoming of Juliet becoming a leader. Like, a full-fledged, like, I have so many people depending on me now that I have to step up. I didn't realize how big of a decision this fucking was until you just fucking said so. And, like, obviously we're talking about shit that's already happened in the past. We're, like, way ahead of this now. But I didn't realize how big of a decision this was. I've had to make so many big decisions in this fucking campaign. What the fuck? Cries. Anyway, basically, she's had, from now and from this point on until like where we're at in the campaign right now, she has had to step up so much. Like, she no longer can just fucking impulsively just go out and do things on her own. She can't just be self-sacrificial anymore. Like, there's so many ifs and ands within her that she's just like, I have to become somebody people can depend on, somebody who can, or I have to be somebody that people can come to. Like, it's hard. It's really hard for me to explain without spoiling things in like the next couple episodes and everything. So basically, this decision has made her resolve into like, I need to be somebody Cass can depend on. I can't depend on Cass anymore. Not saying that she just can't fucking depend on him point blank, but like, he needs to depend on me now. And the party needs to depend on me now, because this is a situation I have to choose, and that puts everybody else either in danger or not. So,
Indeed. Oh, man. And then last thing to talk about to wrap things up is the other important decision is Boondock and the Devil deal. So, yeah, so Boondock's player kind of came up to me and said like, I would love like this kind of like flavor like with like the Devil deal and stuff like that. And so like they definitely really wanted to keep like pushing that like angle, especially after like the coming back with like the fiendish scales and like literally their type being fiend. And they absolutely love like playing into that weird angle of like, oh, I can't enter churches now, and like, yeah, my skin's horrible and scaly. They absolutely love playing into that. Like, my character's just fucking weird now.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, and so they really wanted to keep pushing that angle, and like they as a player were very much like, I really just want to say yes to this, but like it needs to like be in a specific way, because like, depending on like what happens, Boondock might also like say no, especially like with all like the party members and stuff like that. So with like the devil deal, I had to be extremely careful with it, and like on paper, it needed to seem absolutely like perfect. Um, and I just had to be absolutely careful not to make it like suspect in any like way, shape, or form. It really should look like an offer that's too good to refuse. Um, and what kind of ended up like happening with it is I kind of ended up like I had to like hint a little bit, of course, like obviously this is going to be helpful in certain ways as well as harmful in certain ways. This is in fact to deal with the devil. But you can do this and still like have like that option. Like you will still like have the option to be a good ending, even if you take like the devil deal. Even though like consequences, of course, like will happen. So yeah, that's why I set the whole thing up as just this extremely squeaky clean thing of like, well, we both just have a mutual enemy, and so I'm just giving you this power so you can defeat the mutual enemy on my behalf. Like, it's just convenient. It's a very good excuse. It like works out perfectly, and honestly, it is truthful. Oh man, but of course, like if Boondock takes that deal, then eventually the other shoe is going to drop. But we'll get into that more in the coming episodes.
Yay.
So, thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of PhoenixChat. A special shout out to our patrons, the Modgoth, Nyquil Dreamer, and Spicy Turntable. You guys help us make more and better content. And if any of you guys listening out there want to help support us, the link is in the description to our Patreon. We've revamped the Patreon, so there's a bunch of like the tiers have been like reworked. At like the lower tiers, you guys can get like access to all of our like assets and stuff like that we use for our D&D games. Feel free to like use and steal those as you please. In higher tiers, you guys can get like commission rewards from Izzy, as well as some possible things of stickers and other things like that can be physically shipped to you if you're in US or Canada. Yeah, Izzy, you want to plug our Twitch?
Yeah, so we have our Twitch changed to Horror and Harpy now. And we've been doing a couple things here and there. We've been doing some Final Fantasy stuff, which we've all been addicted to. Crying. We've been doing some art streams, and just discussing about different stuff like Luna Nights and whatnot, which is kind of on a hiatus right now. But we are going to start our a one-shot on the 27th of October, called Call of Cthulhu, where it's set in the 1920s and you get to see us fuck around and probably die. It's fun. More details about that on our Instagram, Horror and Harpy, of course. But yeah, so fun fact, Morgan got his first tattoo when he was 12. His mom gave him a little smiley face on the arm. PhoenixChat! Yay!